The games industry is in a little bit of disarray. There's been layoffs left, right, and center, unfortunately, for the last few years. And just in the last 2 years, there's been 23,000 plus layoffs. So if you are a newcomer, if you are outside looking in, wanting to be a developer, obviously you might think that there is no place for you here and you should just give up. However, I'm here to tell you that nothing could be further from the truth. There is opportunities out there, and I want in this video to talk to you on how you go about this. We are going to cover a few things that will give you the upper hand when it comes to job finding in this industry. The first thing is how to build your portfolio. Second, we're going to talk about the practical skills that you need in order to navigate this industry. Third, where can you find your job openings, those jobs that everybody is looking for, those elusive jobs. And lastly, how to network your way into your first job in this industry. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so welcome to another video. I hope you're doing well. My name is Harvey Newman. If you're new here, I've been a developer for quite a few years, and I've been working mostly in a lot of AAA games. And I feel incredibly blessed to be in this position that 20 plus years later, I can hopefully give you guys some insight on how to get into this industry, because it is a wonderful industry, even though it's going through some rocky times. So before we get started, I want to mention quickly about my workshops. I have workshops that last about a month, 4 weeks, twice a week, 3 hours each day, that we actually will go through more in detail the things that we'll cover in this series. And I will share my knowledge on how to basically tackle these things specifically for you, the person that joins my workshop. So if you're interested in knowing more, you should definitely head to learn.harveynewman.com, because over there you'll find all the information, student testimonials, and much, much more. We are having a blast, and most of the students that I teach end up in a really good place. So highly advisable. Now, let's get into the video and let me share some of these tips with you. Let's talk about portfolio building. Now, you need to decide on what your target role is going to be. So do you want to be an animator? Do you want to be a concept artist? Do you want to be a programmer? And then build that portfolio around that. Now, in your portfolio, your show reel, you need to create about 2 or 3 standout pieces that really deliver on your range, but also your skills as a professional. Because what you're saying really with your show reel is, here's my business card, take it and give me a call back. And fingers crossed your business card is impressive enough, they go, I'm interested in knowing more, let's give them a call. Now, the more you tailor your show reel to a specific studio that you actually want to get to, the better it's going to be. What I like to advise to my students is always that think about the dream studio that you want to be at. Doesn't matter if it's Blizzard or Naughty Dog or Guerrilla Games, and then create your show reel around their needs and the things that they do. And then what's going to happen in reality, most likely, is that you're probably not going to get that dream job that you actually aim to do. Some people do, but it's very rare. Normally you get something in between. Another studio that is looking at your show reel that you aimed at, Guerrilla Studios, is going to look at your work and is going to be like, wow, this guy is great. Let's hire him for our studio that maybe is a AA game or indie game. But at least you got your foot through the door and you got your first job. Now, something important for you to actually remember as you build your portfolio is that in every single shot that you make or anything that you showcase, you should clearly explain each project or with a label on what you have done. So if you are a lighting artist and you're just showcasing the lighting on an animation piece, make sure you say that I've done the lighting in this piece, not the animation in this piece, because things can get really confusing for anybody looking at it. Let's say I'm hiring. So make sure you clearly label what you've specifically done on every single shot of your show reel. Now, presenting your show reel is super important. And here, what I like to advise is for you to have a website that basically encapsulates you as a person. If I'm interested in your show reel and I want to see more, you put it on a place, and then at that place, I can see all of your work. And this includes like anything that you've done previously, any gigs that you have done freelance or whatnot. Maybe you have worked on some game jams. I want to see it all. I want to be able to click around and find out more about you, your passions, what do you do? And this is where having a website really helps you. To me, it tells me that this person has it together, and I want to speak to you even more now. Now, let's talk about developing your practical skills. Okay, so the most important thing here is basically learning the key software. I don't know if you guys heard of this acronym before. There is an acronym out there called DCC in games. And for all those that are not familiar with it, DCC means any software that surrounds the engine. So if you're working in a Unreal Engine, DCC would be a ZBrush or a Maya or a 3D Max or a motion builder, anything that any other department uses in order to basically pump things into engine. Houdini will be another one for VFX. So that's a DCC. So a VFX artist will probably be really heavily into Houdini. A character artist will probably be incredibly heavily into ZBrush, and an animator would be very heavily into Maya or 3D Max or Motion Builder. So you mastering that main software that you actually are using, the better opportunities you're going to get as a result. And when I say mastering, just keep in mind that you are an outsider and you are still learning your skills. So you're never going to learn everything about any one software. It's too big. I don't know everything about Maya, even though I've been using it for 20 plus years. But you need to know enough that people can see that you're comfortable with it. Unity and Unreal, I think, should be your two main sources, especially as a game developer, because both companies have an incredibly big wealth of information that they are giving you for free. So Unreal has Unreal courses, Unity has Unity education, I want to say, and within it you can find courses upon courses upon courses of different videos on how to basically be a games developer and bring your animations, your lighting, your VFX into your main software. And they go as far as showing you how to deal with Maya in order to get things into Unreal. So I think that that should be your main source. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the engine, whatever engine it is, Unity, Unreal, whatever, that's going to be the main thing that you're going to basically be spending most of your time in as a games developer. So things that go into the engine are really important, but also learning how the engine itself works really helps you. Now, YouTube 100% is another thing that I cannot miss here, because YouTube is where you're going to find the most amount of information everywhere for anything. So you guys probably know, if you're watching this, most likely you have watched YouTube videos, tutorials, etc. There's a bunch of different things that you can do there. However, be careful, because sometimes the information can be confusing. So make sure that whoever you're watching, including myself, they have enough information and wealth and knowledge that basically is correct according to the industry. So make sure you do your investigation before you actually kind of like listen to any one person. Now, I have been doing this channel for a long time, talking about YouTube, and I have over 800 videos or so, and most of my videos are tutorials and videos like this, trying to show you the behind the scenes of the industry and how to get in. So I do highly recommend you guys kind of perusing some of my previous videos. Now, another source that you can actually get to is the DCC of your choice tutorials. So ZBrush would have a YouTube channel or somewhere that they normally have free tutorials. I know Autodesk has tutorials for Maya, for 3D Max, for Motion Builder. Now, if you want an animator, Maya is definitely the main source that I think that you should spend more time in. And just recently, I worked with Autodesk by creating a mini series on motion capture with 5 videos. It's free and it should be good enough to get you going, especially as a newcomer into this industry. Now, once you get all this information, once you get all these tutorials, the other thing that I need to stress is practice. Practice, practice, practice.
But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
And with a lot of animators, a lot of artists, a lot of people that want to get into the industry, they think that I just need to showcase enough so I can get in, and then once I'm in the industry and working and getting paid, I will learn all the stuff that I need to learn properly later, and I'll be better and I'll be more pro. But the reality is that even though, and this is at the most highest level, the best games out there, even though you're working on really amazing games, your best work will always come from the stuff that you're doing at home on your own by yourself, because you have your own ideas. So make sure your daily practice, weekly practice is full of small goals and exercises. Now, one that should not be mentioned, but I'll mention it anyways, just to make sure you guys don't forget, is mastering the fundamentals. So for animation, you have the 12 principles of animation, lighting, VFX, coding. They're all going to have their own fundamentals that you should know. You never want to be caught in an interview and basically be asked the most basic question and not being able to answer it. So make sure you master the fundamentals to make sure that that doesn't happen to you. Now, staying updated is another one that I want to mention here, because tech moves incredibly fast, and games is definitely one of those industries that you need to keep updated to what's out there. Because what's going to happen is, as you animate, as you code, as you light and do all your stuff at home by yourself without being in a studio, the industry is going to continue moving on and new tech is going to come out. And eventually they will ask you things like, what do you think of Unreal 5 Lumen? If you're not aware and if you don't know exactly what's going on, especially as a young person or even as an older person that is just getting in, it means that you're not keeping abreast of what's going on, and that might be a red flag for some studios. And the reason why is because you need to basically catch on to the technologies within the studio and the pipeline and all the technicalities of the studio. So make sure you keep up with updates around the area that you love. And then when that question comes, you will know exactly what to say. Now, I'm writing a book. For those that don't know, go and check out the video that I've put together about my book writing. But it's going to come out next year, and as I'm writing it, I'm coming up with all kinds of crazy ideas and good ideas about how to get into the industry and how to help out others. And one of the best ways that I thought of that I haven't mentioned here in these videos is game jams and side projects. And game jams are super powerful because if you come from a background that you haven't gone to uni, one of the things that you miss the most, especially if you're just by yourself working and then you get that job and now you're in a team environment, is the fact that you have to work with others. And sometimes things don't go so well when you have another 10 people, 15 people to work with within your own department, and then the studio is made up of 100 people, 500 people. You need to adapt. You need to know how to do teamwork, and game jams and side projects with others help you to do that. Game jams are wonderful, are great because you get to know more about, engines and implementation and how other people work. And there's a lot of game jams happening everywhere. Like if you go to different Reddit forums, if you go to Discord groups, there is people that just get together and they decide to actually work on a project, a side project. Somebody has an idea. And do you want to join me and do my idea? And I'll do your idea a little point. You help me with my animations. You can help me with your lighting, things like that. And those things are great because it's something that you can put in your showreel, in your portfolio. The fact that you are actually working on something, and then at the end, even though it's unfinished, you have something that is being put together by a group of people, just showcases to a studio, to somebody that is hiring, that you can actually work as a team and make it work. And one big one here is because you're working on your own with others on something that is not really earning money, most likely you can showcase it to the public, which is great for everybody involved. So make sure you showcase your work publicly. Doesn't matter if it's personal or as a team, showcase it, because we can as a group be hyping ourselves up, but if you put it out in the world and it's either nothing or maybe it flops a little bit because people don't like it, that's the true measurement of how cool things are, right? Okay, so now with all that said, what should be your job application strategy as a newcomer, as somebody that hasn't been in the games industry? Let me break it down for you. The places that you should look for jobs. Number one should 100% be LinkedIn. LinkedIn is highly underrated, and specifically in our games industry, everybody is in it, and you should be kind of like building your profile and building your experience in LinkedIn as much as possible, as early as possible. There's a few others. Games Industry Biz is another one. Hitmaker is another one. Work with Indies is another one. And all those websites that I'll link down below, you can go and just search for jobs. Now, when you actually apply for jobs, make sure that each application is tailored to each employer, because every studio, no matter where you look, they are special to themselves and to the world. Especially if you apply to the big studios, they already have a lot of pedigree. So when somebody applies to those studios, they don't expect a generic application. They expect a specific application that basically tells them that you really like the studio and you really want to work there. That's what most people that gets in those studios end up being. Fans of the IPs, fans of the games. So you need to make sure that it's not a generic application, otherwise you're going to fall flat for sure. You want to make sure that you say why you want to get in that studio and why you be the perfect candidate for their studio. So tailoring each application specifically for the studio will help you a ton. Now, for you personally, when it comes to achievements, make sure that you showcase your results and your numbers while you actually showcasing how many things you've done. So if you did a game jam, how many people, what were you doing, how involved were you, how long did it took, can I see it anywhere? Things like that help me to understand exactly your contributions, how proactive you are, how do you do things, instead of just looking at just one thing, right? Because only when you get to a certain experience, I can say, I worked in Horizon, I worked in GoldenEye, I worked in these games, and I know how long it takes and how amazing these games are, so amazing. But for somebody inexperienced, you need to really go deep into how many things have you taken from it and how many things you gave to it, so I understand more of what went into the project. Now, another thing that I see a lot of the time is basically not being detail oriented. So when you fill in a submission, and it can be as simple as this, make sure there's no mistakes. Make sure that you keep an eye on the details. If they ask you for information, if they ask you to fill in a form, fill in that form specifically for that job, and then add as much text as they allow you to, so you can basically be as thorough as possible. This attention for detail is super important, because a lot of recruiters sometimes don't even look at your CV. They just look at the questions that they asked and what answers that you gave. So that's basically where we're standing. So you want to make sure that you go into details and you don't make mistakes on your applications, because sometimes one mistake can cost you that job. When it comes to applications and how often you should apply, keep in mind that any studio that you apply, give it at least 6 months to a year before you apply again. So give it 6 months or a year, and only apply when you have better work. Now, another thing about your showreel, your portfolio, do not apply twice with the same one. If you apply 6 months from now with exactly the same thing, it just means to a studio that you haven't made any progress. So always progress, always updates. Don't do it too often. Make sure that it's strategic. Make sure that you're always upgrading your skills as you apply to different studios. All right, so let's talk about networking for entry-level positions. I'm going to keep this one short, but there's a lot of online communities that you can be a part of that allow you to basically start networking and finding ways to get to the place that you want to be. Now, a lot of us developers are on Reddit forums, we are in Discord servers, we are a bit everywhere because we are gamers and nerds first and foremost. So you can find us in places, right? So make sure you are part of online communities such as the Game Dev Reddit forum, Discord servers for games specifically. If you have a favorite game, a favorite publisher, a favorite developer, join their Discord servers for sure. And make sure that whenever you actually engage or connect with these groups and people, make sure that you're genuine. Make sure that you're not there just basically milking things and asking for help or asking for jobs or can you give me a job. Make sure that you go there as a person that is there to communicate with other people and just interested in the same things. When was the last time they had somebody really pushing you to actually give you an answer or to do something that you didn't want to do and then you did it? 9 times out of 10 you don't feel like doing it if somebody is like too much on your face. So making sure that you're humble, that you actually treat people with respect, make sure that you're talking to them with respect, and just go, look, I'm looking for a job and here's my short reel. If you have anything, great. If not, then it's all good. Just maybe give me feedback if you can, but if not, then it's all good too. So making sure that you don't put pressure on people to do things that they don't want to do, because this might be, you might go into their on the blacklist again. But if you actually do the opposite, then all of a sudden I can see that you're a person with feelings, a person that is just there because they want the best for themselves. And I know this because I've been in your shoes. And the more I can relate to you as an up-and-coming developer, or I just want to get into the industry, the more I want to help you in your journey. So that's how you get connected with other developers that hopefully in the future can help you to get in. So another way for you to do this, and that is even better, is local meetups and also events. So you have your GDCs, but you also have local events for gamers, Comic-Cons and things like that you can attend. The more events in person you can attend, the better it's going to be for you, mainly because the person can see your face and they can see a person. And then normally I connect with people much better in person whenever I see that they actually bring their portfolio with them and go like, look, I know what you've done, or I know where you've been, and can you help me out? How do I do this? How do I do that? So make sure you go to events as much as possible. It's really, really helpful. Okay, so to conclude this video, what should you take away? First thing, recap: portfolio, skills, game jams, tailored applications, and networking are your big stepping stones to get into the games. Now, you need to actually pick one tip of this and do it. Join a game jam if you can, update your portfolio. This is my challenge to you. Make sure that you, as much as possible, don't sit and just be content with what you have, but you keep on pushing yourself towards a better place. Now, this is part 1 of 4, and in the next part, we are going to cover mid-level strategies for anybody with experience. If you shipped a game or have a few years under your belt, the next one is definitely for you. I hope you took a lot from it. Now, if you actually enjoyed the video and you took a lot of information from it, make sure you subscribe if you haven't so far, so you can catch on the next videos after this. And also give it a like and comment below and ask me questions about any of these topics that I covered here, especially as a newcomer. And definitely make use of this space that I just gave you to ask me questions as much as possible on the next steps in your career. Now, with that all being said, thank you very much for watching, and until the next video, stay well, stay safe, peace. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you super enjoyed it, leave a super thanks. It's like leaving a little tip, and it directly supports the channel. If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can continue to see my videos and get your weekly dose of betterness.